All right, we're live. What's up, my brothers? Welcome to episode number 44 of the Red Man Group. Today's topic is taking the ladies' dating advice with a grain of salt. Let's do a quick roundtable update, see what everybody's been up to, and then we'll kind of dive into today's topic. Rolly, you want to get started, brother?
Oh, geez. I'm going to put me on the spot real quick here.
You're on the spot.
Yeah. What have I done this week? Besides write the book? It's hella cold here right now. So we got our first real dump. So whenever we get a lot of snow up here in Sierras, then I get trapped in here. So that's good news because I get a lot more done. So just been really just picking away at the book a little bit more. I did a show with Pat Campbell on Thursday morning because he had Friday off, and that got a little bit heated. That was interesting. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you, but I think I did pretty well. I got into I don't know, it was an argument. It was really more of like a debate, really, between Pat Campbell's producer Carly, and I love her to death, man. She's a fan of the show. She's a fan of us. All this, but she just took issue with me explaining why sex is the glue that holds relationships together.
She didn't like that at all, did she?
So I guess she's not banging that, huh?
They hate.
I figured out that there's the audio is out. If people, I'll repost it again here in the chat here if people want to see that. But she had the same kind of reaction that I actually get from a lot of guys, and I thought this was interesting because I'm currently working on a post that is sort of the same conversation I had with her, but usually I get it from guys. Like we're guys, like if I say, and this is particular to like the MGTOW crowd or the incel, well, not so much the incel crowd, but like MGTOW, MRAs hugely are like this. And that what it is like whenever I say you need sex, and I explain to you why there's a biological need for men to have sex, why there's a life need for men to have sex. Everyone wants to fight me on that. They say, "Oh no, man, I could get along just fine without sex. I don't have to worry." If I could say, the question the comment that they always say is, "If I could take a pill, I would take the pill that would like take away my sex drive so that I can go and focus on other things, right?" So that we talked about this a little bit in the monk mode episode that we're talking about. Like if I find some way to just sort of cut off my sexuality so that I could focus on bigger and better things, then I would like suddenly become like this, super philosopher, or I would be this, this wise man in some, mountaintop in Nepal or some shit like that, right? And I'm like, no, the reason that you have that drive to do all of that shit, to want to excel and to do all that, is because you have a sex drive. It's because you take that and you channel that into different areas. And that's probably a discussion for another podcast at some point. But when I say this from the female side, and I say, look, if you, and I told Carly this too, I said, withhold sex from your husband for 6 months and see how that changes your relationship. See, and don't tell him why, but just like hold out on him and don't have sex with him. And this is a cruel experiment. I get that. But if you were to do something like that, and I think she gets the idea, is if you were to do something like that, it's going to fundamentally change your relationship. Because what's the guy going to do? He's going to think, what am I doing? What's wrong? Why am I not, am I not satisfying her? Am I not doing something right? The guys start second guessing themselves, and it's like sex is the whole thing. Like I said, it's the glue that holds a relation together. And I also use this example. I said, look, I love my mom, I love my daughter, I love my niece, I love my aunt, whatever, but I only have sex with my wife. And that's what defines our marriage. That's the difference. It's like when guys get into these sexless relationships, what's the first thing they say? I feel like I'm a roommate, or I'm living with a roommate. That's because you are living with a roommate, because you've taken away the element that is defining the difference between you living with a roommate and you living with a wife. And so we just got into this kind of like heat. I don't want to say it was heated argument, but like she just was, she had an emotional reaction, and a lot of other women tend to do that. And that sort of feeds into what we're going to talk about today about female dating advice. But women interpret information first through their instincts and then through their emotions, whereas men tend to do through their instincts and then through their rationality. But that's something that we can talk about later. But so anyways, I got into that, and my Twitter feed exploded on Thursday because of that. And which is a good problem to have, but still, it's like, you constantly got to keep checking up on it. And I know, Rich, you basically turn off your social media, or you turn off your internet or something after a certain time. And I'm beginning to see the wisdom in that. I know Roosh does the same thing, where it's like you can't get anything done if you're constantly checking your Twitter and you're constantly, plugged into the net. And I understand why you guys do that now. So.
Yeah, you got to guard your time. You got to be very protective of it. I mean, like one of the things that I do, I actually have my Wi-Fi on a timer. So sometimes when I'm doing a late night broadcast with my community, if it goes a little too long, it just cuts off. And that's like, my house telling me, okay, it's time to shut down and go to sleep.
Yeah, I know. And then what do? You go back and you lay down before you go to bed, and then you check your shit, and then maybe you read something else. And it's like, I said this at the 21 convention. I am always on. I've gone from I have to turn myself off from my regular day job, and then I'm always on for the Red Man Group, for Rollo Tomasi, for the Manosphere. There's never a time where I can really turn off, because somebody will hit me up on my instant messaging or whatever, and they'll say, hey, I got this problem, can you help me out with this, can you do that? And it's like, that's a good problem to have. I'm glad, but I understand, like, I don't understand. Well, I get why. I think Dr. Sean Smith is a saint, because I don't know how he does that for a living. I don't understand how he's always, there must be a trick that he has where it's like he can turn himself off and go back to, regular life. And I think this might be true of like most clinical psychologists or social workers or whatever. It's like they have to kind of reserve certain part of themselves that's just for themselves. And I think at some point I'm going to have to figure out how to do that.
All right, let's throw it over to Marty McFly, who's got himself a new vest, got a hoverboard somewhere hanging out.
I've had this for a while.
Carl's not on just yet. He's a little bit late today. I'm not sure if he's going to show up. So Modern Life Dating John, you might want to put some clothes on if Carl can't make it, because we'll probably send you a link on the Facebook group, and that way you can hop on. But
send the girl home, put on the smoking jacket.
Yeah. So Ryan, what have you been up to there, Marty McFly?
Are you calling me chicken? God. So the big thing, obviously, is I got my feet wet into YouTube. I did my first YouTube video, Dread Games and Madeleines. I just find a lot of guys don't know simple things like art, cooking, and that. So I just figure it's a nice, easy way to introduce people to certain topics that are rather controversial, I guess is the way to put it. Plus, it's a good chance to actually work on my film editing skills. The other thing there, on to Rollo's point, which I wanted to touch just quick here while I'm updating everybody, is yes, people do have to unwind. I talked about it when I used to work in the fleet school. We had to take some duty as a guard in the cells, so like a military prison. And all the guys there found that after that day, if they went straight home from work, they are actually had that guard mentality when they were at their families later. So they had to take a couple hours and go unwind afterwards. So it's definitely a thing that you have to turn yourself off and on. And then for the other big thing, so the big one we'll talk about later, but the site's going well. Got a bunch of new clients here. Going to keep rolling out some new stuff. I'm still trying to get that course out of there for operational security for online anonymity, which is very good. You can see why it's needed in this day and age. But that's the big part. And so the next video that I'm going to be doing here is going to be on American style omelets. And I'm going to put it out to the readership here. Throw me out some ideas on what you'd like me to talk about on that video, and I'll pass it off at that.
All right, let's toss it over to Donovan. What's happening, brother?
Yeah, had a great week of shows on TSR Live. Of course, you guys can catch that on YouTube. Weekday afternoons, Monday through Thursday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. Monday's episode, a little bit of Red Pill 101, talked about shit testing. Why women shit test and how to overcome them. And I didn't give a crib sheet of, hey, this is what to say when a woman shit tests you in this way. What I did is I talked about the why women shit test, and then I gave you strategies to overcome the shit test. In other words, the idea and the concept behind passing the shit test or giving the right answer. We all talk with different vernacular, different cadence, different et cetera, et cetera. So I could tell you how to say something, but it wouldn't sound quite right coming out of your mouth because you're not me. The same thing as if you guys were to educate me on something on how to pass shit test. It wouldn't quite sound or look the same because we're just not the same people. So that was a really good episode. Had Rolo on this week talking about red pill groupies.
Mm-hmm. That was good. That was a hot episode, man.
Yeah, that was a really, really good episode. And of course, we've touched on red pill groupies in the past here on this show. And basically red pill groupies are these red pill women who are literally just, infiltrating the manosphere. And Sean Hopper called my show a while back and he said, listen, man, you're going to expect that women want to be around men who have their shit together. This is true in all male spaces. But when it comes to the manosphere, when it comes to the red pill, yeah, women want to be around that element, but they want to become a part of the club. We actually had a red pill groupie who shall remain nameless call into the show. And it was interesting. And I knew why she called into the show. I knew and this is why I had very little patience for her, because she came onto the show and she yammered on for a minute. That's a minute and 12 seconds of my life I'm never getting back. But her strategy was she wanted to become the female voice of the Red Man group. She wanted to say, hey, I'm going to call up and impress these guys. And they're going to want me to call up every time and then maybe I'll be a VIP guest at the 21 convention. No. I shut that shit down immediately because I recognize that for what it is. These people aren't red pill women. There are no red pill women, only women that belong to red pill aware men. But there are red pill groupies. So that's how that is. That was a very good episode. Then of course I had an episode with Steve the Dean Williams. We talked and discussed, hey, will sex robots, will sex dolls ever replace women? The answer is probably no. But who knows? In another 100 years, they just might if women don't get any better. And then yesterday, or was it Thursday, I had a show with Kevin Samuels. We discussed, should men dress strictly to impress women? And, we have a lot of guys. We got a lot of guys in here who are meathead red pill guy. I don't do anything for women. No, listen, man. Like, dude, we're men. We're biologically hardwired to want to impress the opposite sex. We want to increase our chances of having sex with as many women as possible. Listen, man, yes, I lift weights to be healthy and strong and all this other kind of stuff. But if I'm keeping it all the way real, I didn't lose weight for my health. I lost weight because I wanted to get laid. Right? I stay fit because I want to stay sexually attractive to Devin, right? Like that's how that works. And I think that anyone who echoes that sentiment, hey, if you do anything for women, then you're a pussy beggar. No, that makes me a man. Now, you never do anything strictly for the approval of women. That, of course, is counterproductive, which is what the red pill is all about. But at the end of the day, we have to admit that some of the things that we do, yeah, listen, we welcome those side effects. A welcome side effect of living the red pill life is having the attention and affections of more women than you normally would if you didn't have red pill awareness. So that's what that was about. To piggyback off of what Rolo was talking about with Carly, Rule Zero Dad actually had a really good comment. To Carly, sex isn't important to Carly, so sex isn't important to men. That is female solipsism personified. That's how it is. Bruno D, quit oranging me, dude. Like, seriously, I see you in there. Kung Fu Jones says Donovan equals a short, ugly, and bald, but makes up with it for a big mouth. Awesome. Short, no. Bald, no. Ugly, maybe. But yeah, I do have.
I wouldn't fuck you.
Yeah.
Donovan's not short. I'm just around 6'2". He's about the same height as me.
Yeah, get Kung Fu Jones out of here. He's a troll. Probably jerking off to Devin's ass as we speak. It's probably why he's hating on me.
That is some distracting ass shit, by the way. When we were talking on your podcast, man, I was like,
it's supposed to be a slideshow. Looks like it's stuck on one picture there, but yeah. And yeah, so anyway, with regards to, sex not being, of course, sex is important to men. Sex is the only reason we fuck with women in the first place. If we couldn't have sex with women, I don't think any of us would ever talk to women. I mean, honestly, like women do have agency. This is 2018 about to be 2019, and women do more than they used to. But if we couldn't fuck them, we wouldn't talk to them. If we couldn't fuck them, we'd all be fucking low-level MGTOWs. That's just all there is to it. Yes, I do shave my head, guys. I do shave my head. I wore a hat today because I wanted to wear a hat. That's just all there is to it. Ooh, somebody just got an extra man.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's me. It's my baby sister's birthday today. So.
All right. So my updates. I've had a really busy week, actually. I did 3 live shows this week and uploaded 1 video. And I think I'm going to upload a second one on Sunday as well. But yeah, I'm really ramping things up with my channel. I started a brand new show with Dr. Sean Smith, who's the author of The Tactical Guide to Women, also alumni speaker at the 21 convention. And it went really well. It was a 90-minute segment. I'm just going to post in the chat for you guys the link to the video with a call-in bit, and we really jived well. The feedback in the comments was great. I asked the guys in my community what they thought of it, so we got to tweak a few things, but I think we're going to keep doing it. It's going to be Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for 90 minutes with a call-in segment. Shout out to Donovan, and thanks for helping me set up Blog Talk Radio. Yeah. But yeah, man. Yeah, but it went really, really well. We're going to skip this Monday. We both got prior obligations, let's say, so we're going to resume the following, which will, if you want to mark your calendar, I mean, if you just subscribe to the channel, you'll get the notification, but it'll be the 17th. So that went well, and I'm starting to do some more one-on-one stuff. I haven't really set a defined schedule, but you can expect to see me pretty much talk one-on-one with every speaker from the 21 convention on my channel at some point over the next coming months. Yeah, so I'm super busy with that and just some other stuff with business and other private equity things that I work on the side. But yeah, very, very happy with things. I want to kind of dive right into today's episode, not take up too much time with updates. It doesn't look like Carl's coming. So John, when I get a chance, when I get off and stop talking, I'm going to shoot you a link on that Facebook group if you want to join us. Actually, why don't I do that right now? Ryan and Rolla, why don't you talk about the quarantine thing that we had with the Red Man Group Reddit page?
Ryan, you want to start that off?
Sure, I can start that off. A bit of background for people. Reddit as a platform has never really been profitable. They had one of those plans where it was to sell it off to Google after a couple of years. And this is kind of an extension of that. So if you guys don't know, there was a TRP quarantine, which they wanted to make themselves advertiser friendly, the same way they were removing Alex Jones and that off of YouTube, because they're trying to draw in some revenue because Condé Nast needs their products to make some money. I think they've been sold off since then. This ban was very strange. So I guess there was a group of people that was going out of their way just to basically hunt us, which it's kind of par for the course. It's been like that since the start. And this one, the accusation they made is that this is an attempt to circumvent the TRP quarantine, which I don't know if anybody's been following, but this podcast isn't really affiliated with the Red Pill as the subreddit. I mean, a couple of us subscribe and post to both, but that's about as far it. And for Rustin, yeah, I don't know if it's out of sync, the image and the sound for everybody. If somebody else can pop in on that and let me know, I can see about fixing that. Anyway, so yeah. Okay, so on this one here, the big deal is they banned my account permanently. They banned the subreddit's fan page permanently. And I'm dealing with the admins here to see some resolution. So if this is a genuine thing, then it's just going to be a matter of showing that, no, it's not a quarantine circumvention. It's just a fan sub for the podcast. If it's what a lot of people suspect it is, and this little something more nefarious, then we're going to get some very clear evidence of that. But that's really all I got to say on that. Like I said, my 2018 speech had me ranting about how I see a lot of conservatives whining with their hat in hand about how Big Daddy social media doesn't let them talk. But so it'd be kind of hypocritical of me to start crying about it now.
Yeah. I think, and I'm really still waiting for my 21 convention speech to come out, because a lot of what I wrote about this week on my own blog, and really what's happened with the quarantine of the Red Pill Reddit, and then just this now, really ties in with what I was speaking about. I gave a State of the Manosphere address, and then in my blog, I sort of released my notes and my thinking about that. So if you want to get a sort of behind the scenes view as, you know, what my thought process was for the speech, you can see it right there. But part of that is making guys aware of what I see coming in the next, I would say, 18 months of this sort of ramping up of, censoring ideological enemies of, the what I call the feminine imperative. It'll expand to a lot more than just that, but I think that this is sort of an interesting example of what I was talking about. When I was talking about the quarantine was interesting to me because the thing that they did originally with the quarantine was they tried to, or when you went to the Red Pill page, they had this sort of alternate link that linked back to Stony Brook College's masculine studies program or something like that. And I think it was Michael Kimmel, who was the director of that, who was just recently hit for sexual misconduct. He just got Me Too'd himself. This is one of these Vichy male feminist guys who was supposed to teach us all, positive masculinity. It's funny because they titled it Positive Masculinity, which I thought was kind of ironic considering the title of my third book is Positive Masculinity. But then, of course, once those allegations came out, which was almost like a week later, once after the quarantine, then they took that link off because they certainly couldn't have the link going to Michael Kimmel's site because the guy had been Me Too'd. So what that said to me is that they were trying to redirect or in some way save face, I think, for having a 300,000 plus subscribership sub that was centered on the red pill. And I think
then they directed him to a guy who was charged with sexual harassment. Do what he does.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's incredible that they would even do that. Like if they were just going to quarantine it and just like not have any reason for it, at least I could have then thought, okay, well, maybe they're just, they just don't want, what we have to say on their site, but it's more than that. They want to redirect. And that by redirecting, that means to me that they are trying to, like what Ryan was saying, is they're trying to sell off Reddit, or they're trying to impress somebody else, or they're trying to, they can't just kick that big of a sub off. I mean, they could, but they can't do that without a lot of guys lashing back or a lot of bad press. And so what do? Say, well, we're going to try to do the right thing and send these guys to man school. We're going to send them to study at college so they can learn about, positive masculinity, so they can get back on the plantation and they can be, better men by, serving the feminine imperative, which is really all that program is. But it says to me that that's just one element of what is coming. I mean, when we see what happened with Roosh, when we see what happened with, we see what happened with a lot of these guys. I think Sargon of Akkad just got banned from Patreon. They are doing what Roosh is called stealing their bread. They're taking away their ability to create money, to generate money. And that's one of the reasons, like I've always told guys, don't let the manosphere be your only source of revenue. You still have a day job, because all this shit can get and we've seen it happen. We've seen Patreon, we've seen PayPal will deplatform you, Stripe will deplatform you. It's not just, oh, I lost my YouTube channel. No, it's like you lost all of your capacity to generate revenue. Same thing that happened to Return of Kings. They got to the point where it wasn't profitable enough for Roosh to actually still be interested in to keep it going, because he had to jump through so many hoops just to get paid for that kind of stuff. So it's like, why bother? Well, what they've done is they've effectively censored you. They've taken away your platform. Now, can you go create your own platform? Sure, but how many of us can do that? How many of us in the manosphere can actually say, okay, we're going to go start our new, we're going to go start a new YouTube. We're going to go start a new Reddit. We're going to go start, could we do that? Yeah, technically we could do that, but how many people are going to, pick up and go do that? I want to do that. I want to definitely start some sort of new forum. One of the reasons that I gave up on my plans to do a Rational Male forum was because I was hoping that the Red Man Group forum was going to, in some way, accomplish the same thing, right? Well, now we can't do that. And what I think is interesting is that these guys gave us the reasoning that they said, you guys are trying to circumvent the quarantine that we placed on TRP. Well, no, we don't. But we talk about a lot of the same things. And that's why they feel threatened. They feel threatened because it seems like, I mean, I can certainly see why they would think that, but that wasn't our reason for doing that. We just wanted to have a sub so that we could talk about the show and we could get ideas and we could just sort of like, come together as men and say, okay, here's what we want to talk about next. They don't want that to happen. And that's what I talked about in my speech is like men gathering together is dangerous to these guys.
Yes.
Men coming together to speak about something that is not in it doesn't align with their narrative. It doesn't align with their ideological agenda. Men coming together is either homosexual or it is misogynistic. And so any guys getting together to talk about women, to talk about men's issues, to talk about the kinds of things that we talk about in any red pill community, whether it's in my comments or it's whatever else, all of that suddenly seems very horribly misogynistic because we're critical of the feminine. We're saying things that are true, but they're unflattering of the feminine, and they don't like that. And so, I think this was news to me, Ryan, when you were saying that they were trying to sell off Reddit, and that sort of makes sense now that I think about it, because they got to clean it up. They got to clean it up, or else they can't sell it off to who they need to. Didn't you say it was Condé Nast was going to?
Yeah, Condé Nast bought them. I think that was in 2013, 2014. I haven't followed it as closely as I should have recently, but man.
Well, so I guess
we need more cat memes.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I've reached out to two web developers right now, and I've just put my plans for a forum back on the table. And if any of you guys are listening, we need to get that going as soon as possible, because we're going to need some sort of forum, and we need to be able to do it on our own. So I want to start, whether it's a Rational Male forum or a Red Man Group forum, it needs to be something I'm not associated with, obviously not associated with Reddit. So if you guys want to help me with that, please hit me up. But like I said, I got two web devs right now that are helping me with the forum. So.
Yeah, real quick, before we get to the topic, Bernard de Clairvaux, I assume that's French Canadian, says, "Make women great again and bitches ain't shit" is a contradiction. No, it's actually confirmation. We need to make women great again because bitches ain't shit.
Well, watch the rest of the episode and you'll see exactly what we mean.
Yeah, he said, that's a contradiction. Yeah, no, it's not. And you know it. Fuck out of here. All right.
All right, let's kind of explain today's topic. This actually won't take too long, I don't think. A few weeks ago, I did this interview with this traditional conservative woman on her channel that wasn't broadcasted live. It was recorded. And I started to look at some other TradCon broadcasting females. I had somebody, when I announced on my Instagram story that we were doing this topic today, he DM'd me. He's like, I've been looking forward to this topic because I've been thinking about buying Kezia Noble's program for men. So here's the lowdown on women's dating advice, love advice, and why you need to take it with a grain of salt. Their advice about love usually starts and ends with "love me and I'll love you," and that's it. That's basically how you can sum it up in about 4 or 5 words. But why it falls short and why it's incomplete is because of their own solipsism, because of their own nature. They either don't know how to, or they don't recognize, I'm not sure which one it is, that there's limitations on the amount of information, authenticity, and transparency that they're going to convey to you guys, simply because they don't see it or they don't care about it. Especially the ones that are like, mid-late 30s traditional conservatives. They're looking to get wifed up. They want to get married and have kids. So they'll conveniently overlook certain components. And I'll explain it with this example. As we're talking, 2 examples, for example. As we're talking, the question comes up, can men and women love each other? We hear things from guys all the time, the harsh comments like, not all women are like that, or all women are like that. And you start seeing them lean into MGTOW, blah, blah, blah. She's like, is there any such thing as true love? And I said, well, it depends how you view love, because men and women love each other differently. And again, you have to keep in mind, this is an expert that often talks about these sort of concepts. And I had to explain the difference between how women love in an opportunistic fashion, also known as Berfault's law, and men love, in a more conventional sort of fashion, a more Disney-esque, sort of fashion. What do you call it, Rolla?
I call it idealistic love versus
idealistic. Yeah.
So men love idealistically, women love opportunistically, and I mean that in the nicest sense that I can say that. I say opportunism because it's a clinical definition, not a you guys are opportunistic.
Precisely. Yeah. And that's how the conversation goes. But that turns into shock, and then the conversation slowly, proceeds to, well, I just want to love a man. I want to have a regular guy. I don't like chads. I like the regular, sort of dudes, read between the lines of the betas. And they're projecting, giving hope to men, thinking, well, if I just wife up this traditional conservative, everything will be fine. But what they forget to mention to guys is that women need, for them to be happy in a long-term relationship or a marriage, because their interest declines very quickly versus men. Men is a lot longer. For women, it's a lot more quicker anyway. Especially if the guy relaxes, doesn't chase excellence, gets fat. So let me put it this way: if she's a 7 out of 10 and she gets wifed up by a guy that's like a 9 out of 10, he's got a great job. He's chase excellence. He has pieces of paper on the wall framed in mahogany. He's got his degrees. They have a couple of kids. And 5, 6, or 7 years goes by. He doesn't upgrade his skills. He starts to get laid off, can't find a job, can't hold down a job, maybe puts on a few pounds, gets a little fat, has some Cheeto dust on his chin 7 days a week from watching too much on TV, not engaging with the kids or her. And then one day she's sitting at her desk, and Ryan's buddy Steve from accounting comes along to borrow the stapler, and he's a 17 out of 10. Her natural predisposition is going to be to want to optimize her hypergamy, and she can't contract out of that. And that's something that women don't tell guys when they dispense their dating advice, because they either can't see it, or even if they can see it, they're not going to tell you if it conflicts with their own biological imperative to get wifed up and have kids. They will tell you stories like, I don't really look for the chat. Bullshit. Like, we know the truth about that. So that's how I would sum up the concept. But I want to pass it to the panel to let you guys chime in on that, because I know that you've all got some good feedback on that topic.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like you said, that he gets fat, he does this, he does basically backslides. And that's true. Some guys just give up or assume that they got the prize. But another thing that guys are falling, and I talk about this in the 2017 21 convention speech, is some guys it's through no fault of their own. Like, for example, my whole red pilling started when I got hit by a car. Nothing I could do about that. Nothing to do with me. Some guys catch a sickness that's outside of their control. So it doesn't really matter, even if you are on top of your game, that circumstances can change things. So I know it's a nuance, but I just find it's nice if you don't frame it as long as you do this, you're going to get that, because that's a covert contract. It's not going to work. There's just no guarantees with this. So it's just something you have to be mindful of.
I think one of the I've got a couple of posts I just put in the chat there. I've got one about female dating advice, but the other one that I have on there is what I call, it's one of my more classic ones. It's called The Ballad of Clark Kent. And what I meant by that is, like, I kind of spelled out this story of Superman, right? And Superman and Lois Lane. And when Superman meets Lois Lane, he can, bend steel in his hands. He can fly. He can do all the things that Superman can do, right? And so what does Lois want? She wants that in her life. It's exciting and it's fun. But once she starts to get into that relationship with Superman, she turns him back into Clark Kent. And now it's like, why do you always have to be out there? Why do you have to do what you do? Why do you have to, do that bit? Why are you insecure in your masculinity? That's why you have to bend steel bars? Was that why you have to stop, speeding locomotives, that kind of stuff? It's like, why aren't you home? Why aren't you, so it's this sort of progressive degradation of Superman into Clark Kent. And so what happens is then she gets bored of Clark Kent because he doesn't do all those things anymore. All the things that she told him that he shouldn't do, where's my ring kind of thing, and all the things that made him Superman, he gives up because he thinks that's what, well, first of all, it's what the blue pill has taught him. And then second of all, he thinks that that's what's going to appease Lois Lane. And so what happens is then later Lois Lane meets meets Batman, meets Bruce Wayne, right? And he's a millionaire, and he's brooding, and he's, you know, he can't fly, but he, you know, kicks ass, takes names, and lives by his own rules, kind of thing. And you know, he's an outlaw, and he's like, you know, he's a bad boy, right? So
One-itis.
yeah, exactly. So what happens is Lois Lane ends up fucking Batman, and you know, Superman or Clark Kent finds Batman and Lois Lane together, and you know, the first thing he says is, I don't see how you could do this, you know. And then of course Lois says, well, you know, he's a superhero.
Yeah. If I want to chime in here, it's 100%. Like anytime you're in a relationship or a marriage or anything with a girl, like definitely just don't listen to her when she's complaining about what you did originally to get her. Like if you're always hitting the gym when you hooked up with her, or you were, you know, going to kickboxing classes or whatever, that's the guy she fell in love with. That's the guy that initially got her attraction. And that is what makes you attractive to other girls too, because these girls, when they date you, they'll like intentionally sabotage you. They'll feed you a little bit more. They'll bring you that cinnamon bun. They'll try to get you fat in a kind of protective way to keep other women from you, because they're so insecure at themselves. They're like, I've got to make him less attractive so that I can keep him from me only. That's what I've had experience in my life. And that's why I fundamentally just don't listen to them. I did a podcast this week with Kyle Trouble, and I intentionally asked my girlfriend all the time, like, all right, where do you want to go tonight? Pasta or burgers? And she says pasta. I'm like, good, we're going to get some burgers. Like I just constantly let her know I'm not listening to her, and I'm keeping her in check. Because if you start listening to her, give it a shot. Start complying with the women you're dating right now, and watch how quickly they drop off. You'll see it. If you have the red pill lens, you'll see them. Their interest starts to drop off, and slowly but surely they'll drift away.
What it is that they're not telling guys is that guys need to suppress their desire and need to scatter seed, and women need to suppress their desire and need to optimize their hypergamy. It's when they feel like that's not optimized that they'll start considering other options and monkey branching. In fact, I did a really good video. It's about an hour long for my private men's community on why women mate switch. It's based on a clinical study. And to sum it up very quickly, it's simply because when women feel like their hypergamy is not optimized and they can do better, that's when Steve from accounting starts to look appealing.
I was going to say is that one of the reasons that I think that guys should not listen to the dating advice of women is that their advice is almost always directed at the beta bucks long-term side of hypergamy. The women, even if they
well, that's why you get somebody like Kezia Noble with the giant tits hanging right out of her top, talking to these guys and selling her courses for $5,000, right?
Well, they're looking at that right there is that's just pandering right there. I mean, she might as well be a Snapchat chick. Okay, the advice is not why guys are going there to you know, to listen to her, right? It's whenever, and this is one commonality I see amongst all, you know, quote unquote dating experts, right? They're all dating experts, right? They all prioritize satisfying the female sexual strategy above all other things, right? Because that is what they feel is correct. Women are always going to filter their advice through their emotional the emotional interpretive process. They're never going to do it through the rational process. They're always going to do it through what makes them feel a certain way, right? So if you want, quote unquote, if you want to have a sex, or if you want to have a successful relationship with a guy or with a woman, then you have to do X, Y, and Z to make her feel A, B, and C, right? So it's always guys like maintaining who they are, but also, you know, jumping through, you know, all of these hoops to give them certain feelings. And those are usually the certain feelings that they only got when they were single. So when they were single and they, you know, you were exciting and you were fun, like I said, you were Superman, that is what they want to feel when you're Clark Kent, right? But they actively work against you, because, you know, staying Superman, because if you are, then that creates dread and that creates competition anxiety, and that sets them off kilter. So it's like they want this dangerous man, but they want the dangerous man to be to be able to turn him off and to say, okay, yeah, that felt good. It's like what I call the roller coaster. They want this roller coaster of emotions and this roller coaster of feelings and everything else. But they want to know that behind the scenes, somebody's there making it safe for them. All right. They want to know that, the roller coaster is not actually going to fly off the tracks, or, they want to know that the parachute is going to deploy right at the last minute. So they have a great fun ride, but everything's going to still be okay. And what women do when they give men this advice, first of all, they're only perpetuating the blue pill, because they don't take into consideration, and why would they? They don't take into consideration what would satisfy that man in a long-term relationship, or what would serve him best in a long-term relationship. It's always what serves the woman. And so it's guys are usually rational deductive problem solvers, right? So what do? We're like, okay, I want sex. So how do I get sex? I go and I ask the woman what she wants so that I can get sex. And then what do? I do all those things that she told me to do, and then I'll get sex, because that's the deductive problem solving. It's like reproduction is a problem to be solved. That's why we see women as sexual objects, because they're tool. Whenever we see a naked chick, it triggers the same part of our brains as tool use. And the reason for that is because we see parts of that woman before we see the whole of that woman, because we're looking for sexual availability. We're looking for the sexual viability, which is she's got to be fit, she's got to be good looking, and she's got to be available, right? And so we look at that in parts rather than a whole. And the reason we do that is because those parts will solve the problem. And so we tend to deductively piece all of those parts together to get from point A to point B. Point A being, I'm single, to point B, I want to get laid, and I want to find out what it is that women want, right? Women will never tell you what it is that arouses them. They'll tell their girlfriends about that, but they're never going to tell a guy directly that. First of all, it's socially improper, right? They're only going to tell you what they're attracted to. They're not going to tell you what they're aroused by. So I want a nice guy. He's got to have a good heart. He's got to be funny. He's got to have confidence. And it's all these esoteric things that pretty much anybody can figure out, right? Anybody can say, okay, well, I want an asshole, and I want a drug addict, and I want, they're not going to say that. They want somebody that's they want somebody that's healthy for them, but they still insist on wanting that polarity. But I think most guys think that in molding themselves into what they think this woman's ideal is, they lose all that. And by identifying with them, like most blue pill guys follow what I call an identification program. And so what they do is they try to get in touch with their feminine side. They try to make themselves make themselves like the allies of women. They try to become more like a woman, right? Because they believe that likes attract likes. And that's absolutely the opposite, because it's opposites that attract, not likes that attract. And women feed on that and they play on that. And I think that in some cases, women don't even really realize that they're giving men the opposite advice that they should probably be hearing. And that's one of the reasons why when I got into that conversation with Carly, I'm saying, look, sex is very important. Women want to say, no, it's not that important. I can't, it can't just be based on that. Well, it can when they're single and they're hot. But when you get older and you're past the wall, then women want to believe that there's got to be something more to it than just sex, because they know that once they get into menopause, it's going to change. And they're hoping that that guy is still going to stick around, even if she takes away the carrot of sex.
This is the thing, and I'll give my
1 sec. Just wanted to do a happy holidays to Nimble Fred, who just did 10 on the super chat.
Happy Hanukkah.
Okay, happy. Oh yeah, I just saw it on the screen. Yeah, with regards to women and sex. Yeah, I've always said this: girls mature much faster than boys. Okay. They stop maturing. They stop mentally maturing when they learn that men want to fuck them and the extents that men go to fuck them. They stop maturing. They only start to mature again when the caliber of guys who fucked them all through their teens, 20s, and early 30s are paying less attention to them, right? So when you're dealing with a 36-year-old woman who figured out that men wanted to fuck her at the age of 15, you're probably dealing with a 34-year-old woman who acts like about a 21-year-old. That's generally how that works. We say women are overgrown children. They are, because they only start maturing again when the sexual attention dwindles. This is why women act like children within the constructs of anything, a sexual relationship or otherwise. This is why you should never take dating advice from women, is because women will always leave out the unflattering parts about what really turns them on, which is the truth.
Actually, Donovan, it's weird. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's weird you mentioned that. Rolo, you remember this from an Evo Psych thing, don't you? Where they were saying the purpose of menopause is for women to switch from caregiver to more of like a community caregiver. And I wonder, it just seems like it goes along the same thread as this. If you do know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I hear you.
100% right now. Just FYI.
I think that, and Donovan sort of hit on this, is I think that depending on where a woman is at a particular phase of her life, like I wrote about this in Preventive Medicine, she's going to give you different advice. The thing that and you guys can check me on this if you want, but one of the things I always hear from women, depending on what, if they're in their epiphany phase, they're going to give you advice that is going to appeal or is going to center on what they're going through at that particular time. If that woman is 35 or 36, 37, she's looking for, where are all the nice guys? How come they can't be, where are all the guys that, want to step up and take over responsibility and marry me and have kids with me? That, woman's 36, 37, 38 years old. She's going to give you different advice than if she's like 29 or 30 years old. And if a woman is 22 years old, she's going to tell you, okay, here's what you can do to get me into bed, kind of thing. So you're looking at different advice at different phases, but in all of those phases, every time women give you advice, it's almost as if you're reading their dating profile. It's like, here's what you got to do to get me at this particular time in my life. And that's one of the biggest problems like I have with like this one chick that I think Rich was talking to, and then like say someone like Dr. Babe Love, right? It's always, what is it about me that I want guys to accommodate so that they will be my ideal guy? And they don't, I think that this gets back to their women's innate solipsism. It's always whatever is out here is to serve me. Whatever that guy over there, he's to serve me. Everything that is in my environment how does it affect me? And so that advice comes through that filter of solipsism, where it's like, how can men better serve me? How can men better accomplish optimizing hypergamy for me? How can men become my ideal? Well, here's my advice, right? And the other thing is that, and I should, and this gets to Ryan's point, is like when women offer advice for guys in that vein, like they basically want to tame the alpha. They want him to be a wild man, but they still want him to only be a wild man for her, right? It's that Beauty and the Beast thing. But what they do is, by doing that, they end up defeating their own interests. And so what they do is, if you tell a guy, it's like the observing a process will change that process. So if you tell a guy how to be, you just defeated the process, because the guy has to know that organically. He has to know all that. That's why I have a post called Just Get It. And if a guy has to have masculinity explained to him, he's not the guy for her. If she has to explain, like, here's how you get me, that just by default, you had to go and learn about this, you're not the guy for her, because she wants that from a guy who is actually genuinely like that, not playing that act, not playing that script. That's why women get pissed off at nice guys, because they think that they're just being nice as an act to get into that woman's pants. Now, most of these guys are betas anyways, that they would never consider, but then they go and they say, oh my God, I can't believe he actually wants to have sex with me. I thought we were great friends. No, you didn't. You knew that he wanted to get with you, but you're playing coy like that. But the reason you don't want to get with him is because he had to petition you to find out how to get you. And no woman wants to do that. We were talking about this on Donovan's show. Women want to play the game. They don't want to be told that they're in a game. And they sure as shit don't want to tell you that you guys are both in a game and you're both playing this game. They want you to be able to play it, because your ability and your capacity to play it reflects on who you are as a man and who you are as a person. What are you alpha? Because an alpha would not be asking me for advice. He would already know this shit.
All right. I just want to shout out quick to the super chats. Thanks to Nimble Fred for the $10. Happy holidays. James Miller, get it on. Donovan. Greetings, Red Man Group. And the Bright 95. If a woman knew what they wanted, Cosmo would go out of business tomorrow. Thanks for the super chat, guys. Keep them coming. We really appreciate them. It helps support the creation of the content on the channel. We're going to go to calls soon. Donovan or Sharp Assist, can you post the number in the chat just so we can get the lines?
Yeah, real quick to finish my point is, and it's real simple, the reason why you shouldn't listen to dating advice from women, because just like Rollo says, there's a big difference between attraction and arousal. Women are attracted to betas, they are aroused by alphas, and the advice that women give makes you attractive as a beta male. Be nice, hold doors for her when she doesn't deserve it, make her the center of your world, make sure she completes you, etc., etc.
Be less so she can be more is my favorite.
Dude, perfect. But here's the thing, in order to become arousing to women, that's where the unflattering parts come in, right? Make yourself your own mental point of origin, which means to be selfish. Put your needs before hers. Never be afraid to check her. Never be afraid to correct her bad behavior. Punish the bad, reward the good. Women don't want men, and it's not like they don't want men to do these things, but if they were to actually tell men what it takes to make a woman's pussy wet, it makes them look bad. This is why women don't like to call themselves sluts or give advice in this way, because it makes them look bad. Because what it really takes to wet a woman's pussy, it's unflattering, which is why the red pill is constantly under attack anyway. And really the last reason that I'll point out in terms of why you should never take dating advice from women is that now women shouldn't take dating advice from women. And the reason why, no, I'm serious. This is why we have the 22 convention coming up for women by men. Because when women give dating, if a woman were to give the kind of dating advice that is actually effective in the dating world to consolidate or to snag a high value guy, women would not like that advice, right? So real world dating advice is you don't have a man's trust automatically just because you're a woman. Number one, you got to earn his trust. A lot of guys have this false mindset. Well, listen, I trust everyone until they give me reason not to. Dude, women have been giving us reason not to trust them for 2 fucking decades. Right? But you're going to tell me that you still trust these bitches? Hell no. She's got to earn your trust. You got to check in with him, let him know where you are, who you're with, et cetera, et cetera. And listen, he shouldn't have to tell you to do these things. You should automatically be doing this. Show him your phone, when you want, if he wants to see it. Now, a lot of people might say, well, that's insecure and that's controlling and this and that and the other. Listen, I am possessive and I am controlling because that's just who the fuck I am. But here's the thing. If you don't want to get robbed, don't leave your doors unlocked.
Donovan, why don't we just keep it simple? Like, why are you letting somebody else tell you how to be a man that attracts women?
Right. I was just going to
say,
say,
women aren't there to attract women. In fact, women hate other women anyway. Based on,
I would rather learn it the hard way than have somebody tell me, even if they were right. I'll figure it out myself because experience is a better teacher.
Right. Here, but actually, that gets to what I'm just gonna read this real quick here. It's okay. A woman wants you to get it on your own without having to be told how. That initiative and the experience needed to have had developed it makes you a man worth competing for. Women despise a man who needs to be told to be dominant. Overtly relating this to a guy defeats his credibility as a genuinely dominant guy. The guy she wants to fuck is dominant because that's the way he is instead of who she had to tell him to be. Okay. So observing the process will change that process. This is the root function of every shit test a woman ever gives you. Okay. If a masculinity has to be explained to a man, he's not the man for her.
Got it. Okay. And I think you posted that link in the chat, right, Rollo?
Yeah.
All right. So a quick shout out to the documentary doctor for 20 euros. That's awesome. Thanks, dude. I said a few points. 1, do not listen to women. 2, do not argue with women. 3, do not validate women. 4, do not fall in love with women. Period. This applies to all women, including the Waltz. I wish you all the best and thank you. Thanks for the super chat and your opinion and views. Guys, before we take calls, the call-in number again is 914-205-5356. I just want to take a quick break to acknowledge all of the panelists contributing today and donating their time and where you guys can find them. We've got Rollo Tomassi from the Rational Male blog series. You can find him on Twitter. We've got Ryan Stone. Ryan, where's the best place to find you? You want to promote YouTube or your newsletter?
Yeah, well, we'll go with the newsletter first. Just ryanstone.com. I've been having a little ticker added here so people can check it out, as well as my Instagram _Ryan_Stone. Twitter is #Ryan_Stone. And the YouTube channel will be coming up with a lot more videos. Right now, there's only the one. So by the time you find me in the other places, you'll see it there.
Okay. And John from Modern Life Dating, where can people find you?
What's up? So at Modern Life Dating on Instagram, I'm active there every single day. Some of the watchers see my show, Cooking with a Hot Dude, that I do a live stream on the Instagram. And I just released a new YouTube video after getting one of the consultations from the man himself, Richard Cooper.
Thanks. And Donovan, best place to find you is donovansharp.com.
Yeah, donovansharp.com. And of course, patreon.com/donovansharp. I'm actually going to be in the process of attempting to move from Patreon to my website because, of course, deplatformization, if that's even a word, that's a real threat. It really is. And to put all your eggs in, or to put most of your eggs in one basket, is foolhardy. So I'm certainly going to be working on that. If anything gets shut down, if I lose my Twitter, lose my Patreon, lose my YouTube, whatever the case may be, donovansharp.com is the place to go to find out when and where I'm going to be.
Cool. Thanks, Donovan. And I'm just going to post in the chat the Redman Group call-in number and our own Patreon as well. We're going to be doing a monthly private Q&A session. There'll be at least 2 panelists on the broadcast. Again, it's private for Patreons only. So if you like what we're creating and you want to support the continued creation of the content, please pledge on Patreon. You'll also get access to that perk. Shout out also to JC on the super chat for $20. He says, my female friend tries to shame me for sleeping with women immediately, even though she has an F buddy and has slept with at least 4 dudes this year. There you go. I mean, right
Put
there.
up or shut up.
Yeah, shut up.
Why do you have a female friend in the first place?
Yeah, well, guys, that's a different show. Maybe we'll do like a female friend show one day. But
if you're not fucking her, she's your girlfriend.
Yeah,
or you're her girlfriend.
Yeah, you're a girlfriend. 914-205-5356. Call in. Do we have any callers on the line, Donovan?
Yeah, we've got one. Yeah, 914-205-5356 is the number to call to get in on the show. Area code 760. You're on with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's good to talk to you again.
Yeah.
I'm getting feedback right now, just to let you know.
Is anybody else getting feedback?
All right, cool.
Nope.
Okay. Then you got to turn down whatever. Okay, you're good.
Excellent. All right, I got you guys now. So I saw some people posting up in the chat today talking about people like Coach Corey Wayne. I know I've read a few books myself on dating as well. It always seems to be focused more towards the women though. So like this one book, for instance, from Bruce Bryant, it's like what women want in a man. It's strange to see that, in our entire upbringing, I'd say at least for the last 2 generations, it's always been focused on what women want in a man, right? That seems to be like, we have this target fixation, right? Because men, it's kind of like this idea right now with dick pics, right? Why do men send dick pics? Well, it's because in our mind, when we see the female form, that's how we start to get sexually aroused. Right?
Is there a question
so
here?
Men apply that same. Yeah, no, I'm going to get to the question here in a second.
I would like no, seriously, because this is, and I don't mean to cut you off here. Every show we always there's 10 people in the queue when we cut off the show. So try to keep it brief. Like I know you want to make a point, but like we're trying to move this along.
Yeah, start a blog, guy.
For sure. All right, I appreciate it.
Said with love.
That's the question is, what can we do as men to start shaping away from putting females as the objective of our affection?
That is, listen, this is a very, well, hold on. This is a very good question because, and this is something I've talked about at length. Most men find the red pill because of women. They're either not getting laid or they just got screwed over, whatever the case may be. But men who really and truly digest the red pill, like they're really living that red pill life, eventually we have our own epiphany phase where it's like, wait a minute, I don't have to chase women to get women. Everything I do doesn't have to be centered around women. Now, listen, listen, I stay in shape for health reasons, but a secondary benefit is you get more female attention. I make good money that gets the attention of women, but that's not the primary reason. And this is just like Rolla says, making yourself your own mental point of origin is going to make you more attractive and arousing to women, by virtue of simple, reality and nature. So yeah, I mean, we can sit here and say, hey, how do we get the focus off women? Listen, at some point, everything we do is not all about women, but they're a nice side effect. And it's not a crime to say, hey, listen, man, I wore this today because I wanted to look good for myself. But you know what? Getting female attention, that's a nice side effect. And I'm not going to pretend that wasn't one of the reasons I did X, Y, or Z.
Do you want to know the easiest way? That's a weird echo. If you don't want to starve and be constantly hunting for food, the easiest way to do that is to eat 3 squares a day. Apply that to women here. So if you want to stop treating women as the pedestal, just make sure you have them on the regular. Then you realize it just doesn't matter.
Spin more plates.
Yeah, and they don't do that in Japan. Like, it's so crazy to watch it from over here because Japanese guys do not put women on a pedestal. Like, Japan is a very logic-driven society, and they've already figured out, like, yeah, there's only 2 genders, and out of those 2 genders, men are superior. So let's not put them on a pedestal. And Japan is not changing anytime soon.
Real quick, somebody asked a very good question. He says, is there a difference between chasing women and pursuing women? Yes, and it's very simple. The difference between chasing and pursuing, when you're chasing women, this is all you're doing. Hollering at women, running day game, Instagram, Tinder, everything you do is for women. Pursuing women is simply taking advantage of the opportunities presented to you. So you live your daily life, you're kicking life's ass. If you happen to see an ample-breasted, an ample-assed blonde in the checkout line, that is when you approach her. That's the difference between chasing and pursuing. And a lot of guys, well, I don't want to pursue women because it signals thirst. No, you're being lazy, and that's an excuse for you to go MGTOW, so to speak.
Yeah, thirst signals thirst.
Right, exactly. So chasing women, that's thirst. Pursuing women, that's the masculine way to do it. When you take an opportunity, when you seize an opportunity that's in front of you, there's a big difference there.
All right, do we have another caller?
Yep, I've actually got 2 more. Area code 705. You're on live with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
I'm from Ontario originally, and I'm living in BC right now. Been following the show for a while, and I'm going to be moving to the Vancouver Island. So I'm in.
Oh, right on, bud. Whereabouts, Victoria? Actually, you know what? Don't say.
What? Sorry, what was that?
I was going to ask you where, but I'm like, it's probably best if I don't. You joined the military though, or no?
No. I'm a marine mechanic, and I grew up in a small town, and I've been advancing my career so I can, be a better person.
Oh, you're gonna love it there. Anyways, I'm interrupting.
The reason why I'm calling is I started learning about pickup when the fairy tale didn't work when I was like 15, and then I came into the red pill probably a few months ago, and I'm really diving into it now. But now when I'm looking through pickup to try and learn more about just applying game, like I've already got the natural stuff down. I'm always out for myself, mental point of origin, but I'm trying to figure out how to put it all together so I can get girls more invested to have more plates stick around. So I just wanted to get some advice on what to look for in, say, pickup artistry, or where to fine tune my game, or where to go like a mentor.
Oh, I'll get you on the fine tuning. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I can give them like very specific advice here. So what you're going to find, and one advantage, and this was my old pickup artist hanggrounds there. You want to head to, don't go to the right on Wharf Street and start partying down there. That's where everybody parties, and you're basically going to be the beta bucks buying drinks. Take a left and you head down. It used to be an old grunge bar with emos called Evolutions. I think it's switched its name now. They usually change every couple of years. But that one is the greatest because you'll find how much location matters. As long as you don't look, act, or talk like a sailor when you're down there, the one girl that's not at the goth bar dressed in all black is out there to get some strange away from her friends. So if you want to practice on a girl who's into game, I guarantee you're going to find a lot of luck there. And at this point, it's just going to be practice.
I would just say, if you want to get them more invested in you and get them more obsessed with you, the quickest way to do that is mind-blowing sex, because most guys can't throw it down. And if you can give her mind-blowing sex, like bring her to her limits and then take her above and beyond, she will be stalking you outside your house. Like, good dick is a very, very, very rare commodity. That's like high level player shit. But if you want to get them hooked on you, take your sex game to the next level.
Here's another another tip here, and this might seem kind of simple, but if you want women to invest in you, you have to become a more investable commodity. Okay, women value social status, they value fun, they value adventure. So if you essentially sweep her off her feet, if you're unpredictable, if when she brings you around her friends are co-signing on you, hey, your new guy, your flavor of the week is hot. Social media is another great way to give the impression that you're an investable commodity. Take pictures of yourself doing things, and all the typical stuff: mountain climbing, bike riding, weightlifting. I'm in a cooking class. I was in Japan. I do this and that and the other. Make yourself a more investable commodity, and women will invest in you without you having to get them to invest in you. If you want a woman to invest in you, that's on you. You have to make yourself an investable commodity. That's the best I can do.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down to, is you've got to be the best version of yourself. And if you're not, I mean, all the game in the world is going to get you attention and fucking numbers and stuff like that. You might get, dates and late, sort of stuff, but your highest ROI is going to be in you 100% of the time. Don't put her ahead of you. When you put yourself and chasing your own excellence and the betterment of you and dealing with anything that you can fix, if you're overweight, if your style sucks, whatever, put that first before you start asking questions like, how do I game chicks or get more women or whatever.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We have another caller, area code 910. You're on live with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning.
Hey, great channel. Love you guys. Kind of stumbled onto you from Alpha Male Strategies, which I don't know if you guys seen that guy. He's pretty funny. But so I'm in transition right now, I guess. So my entire life, pretty much the proverbial, in a relationship continuously, after reading the book, Rolo's book in regards to getting through and understanding, the demasculine side of relationships. I've been married for the first 10 years, got divorced, right into another relationship, the proverbial, cycle, if you will. So got divorced after a 10-year time, 2 kids, wife cheated, then ran into another relationship. So I've kind of put the brakes on, and I'm just trying to make sure that, this pursuit of this woman, I've kind of stopped things, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, understanding that I'm unplugging right now. And I'm just trying to understand what my why is, I guess you could say, or better traits to pursue to get myself, I guess, more equity in the gaming process.
Right. So in other words, you want to know how to become a higher value guy so you can sleep with more and better women.
I was going to say it's how to not over invest in women, because clearly he's been burned a couple times and he's just not learning. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because my traits in women have to fucking be the same thing. Excuse my language.
No. Whoa. Rule number 1. No. You don't listen. Hold on, man. You can speak French at the Redman Group, dude. Let the F words fly, man.
Got it. But no, seriously, let me back up. I ran into a couple shows. I mean, it's mind-boggling to go back through and to see and understand. Self-evaluation is a huge part in learning and bettering yourself, right? So after the divorce, my last divorce, been divorced twice, went through this transition of, it's funny how you get skinnier, you start working out, you start getting better self-worth, you're going out, you are applying the game. And as soon as you get to that point where you feel comfortable, and I will just say that I'm a 40-year-old man.
Yeah. Okay. You're 40 years old. What's your question? Like what's the burning question?
I think I get his question though. You're trying to avoid the same pitfalls and you want to know a best way to do that. Is that
you
fair?
need direct you need direct coaching, I think, from somebody like on a daily thing, because your mindset's fucked up. Clearly, if you got 2 divorces, you're not doing it right.
Not only that, I think
Right.
you need to consume red, because it sounds like you're pretty new to, to the red pill. Listen, step number 1, you have to consume red pill content daily, right? You have to do this, because if you don't, you're going to fall back into your beta blue pill ways. But if I were you, monk mode is what you need. Like, you need to hit the reset button on life, right? And monk mode is basically, listen, get off the grid, work on yourself, stop chasing girls. Girls aren't going anywhere. P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute. Dude, sluts are turning 18 every minute of every day. Girls aren't going anywhere. We age better than they do. It is what it is. Go into monk mode for 3 to 4 months. Do nothing but consume red pill content, work on your hobbies, start a business, lift weights, build yourself back up. Let the pain sink in, right? Let the sting sink in. Then you come back out. If you're consuming red pill content every day for at least the next 90 days, you're going to have more of an understanding, and you won't have these remedial questions in your head. You'll almost naturally know where to go, but you have to consume red pill content every day.
Let me ask you this question, dude. How old are you?
40.
He's 40. And how tall are you, and how much do you weigh?
72, 195.
Sorry, you're 72, what?
6'2".
6 feet, 295.
Okay, so dude's fit. And what are you exactly stuck on when it comes to the sexual marketplace? Because I'm not clear on that.
The sexual marketplace isn't really, well, I can go out, have a good time. I do it pretty regularly. I've tried to change my image, I guess you could say. Not change it totally, but dress a little nicer, have a little bit more appreciation in clothes and shoes and just, taking care of myself and presenting a good, alpha image, if you will. But when it comes to, my problem is when I do find that girl, my problem is, okay, how do you stay exclusively not dating and transition into, spinning those plates and keeping things from reverting back to my old way of thinking.
Yeah, this is
hold
on. Hey, whoa, hey. Listen, your question has you ask a very good question, but I really think, just like Jonathan said, you need some one-on-one coaching for this, because you're new to the red pill and you're asking, and again, thanks for calling in, but you're asking a very remedial question. It's a very generalized question. The answer to your question requires a very long answer, and it starts with consuming red pill content daily.
I'll answer briefly, in this way. And if you want to do one-on-one coaching, you can book a call with me. It's clarity.fm/Richard Cooper. But the short answer to that question is, in every transaction, every text message, every engagement in person, ask yourself before the engagement begins or before you respond, who is in control of the frame during this transaction? If you start with you as the mental point of origin and you being the priority and you starting to use that thinking, the thought process from there will become a lot easier for you. But like everybody's pointed out, dude, this is a long ass conversation. You've got some work to do on yourself, and it's worth investing in yourself if you want to do that. So let's wrap up this call. Donovan, I'm not sure if you're getting the chat, but you got to kill that monitor behind you. It's going to get us fucked with a strike on YouTube. So that monitor over your right shoulder, turn it off, please.
All right, we got 4 callers on the line. Area code, are we ready for the next call?
Yeah.
All right. Area code 514. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So you were talking about bad woman advice, but my question is, how do you spot bad man advice?
Well, it usually comes from betas, right? Telling you to just be a nice guy or be yourself, or dude, buy her flower. The nice guy advice, if you want to find authentic, real, juicy, nice guy advice, Go join a divorced dads forum on Facebook and look at the bullshit that they fucking pander to each other when it comes to my wife's not having sex with me, or how do I get my girlfriend back, or my baby mama's not returning my phone calls. And it's shit like, well, sit down and listen to her attentively, and whatever she says, say, I'm going to give 120% to do whatever you want, and I'll do the dishes, the whole chore play thing. That's bad advice from dudes. That's where you find a lot of it.
Yeah, just
You have to just try it. Yeah.
Yeah, just like Ryan's about to say it right now. Just bottom line it. Analyze what you're doing. Are you getting sex for the time and amount of frequency that you're putting in effort? And if it's working for you, then keep doing that. If what you're doing is not working, you're not getting the good quality, you're not getting it fast enough, then you need to change what you're doing. You need to change yourself, change the way you look, change your fashion. This is like A/B market testing. Okay.
Yeah, John, you're bang on there, man. That is awesome.
Yeah. What's that? I mean, that's exactly like, it's just a lot of you guys who watch us are like smart guys. You're too fucking smart. And you just gotta like make it very simple. Is this getting me pussy? Continue doing this. Is this not getting me pussy? Stop doing this.
And the more of those you get, then you got to start seeing advice, and you'll kind of have a hint like, oh, this jives with the things that already work with me, or it doesn't.
What I like to do is when somebody's going to dispense advice, ask yourself the question, do I want to trade places with this person? So if somebody's giving you the lyrics and lecturing you on what you should do with women, a friend of yours, a man, a guy from work, whatever, you're in the sauna after the gym or whatever, and some guy's, busting out the lyrics about do this, that, and the other thing. Ask yourself, would I trade places with this man? And if the answer is no, then you do not take his advice. It's really as simple as that. If you would put yourself in his shoes and happily do that all day long and be spoiled for choice, women throwing themselves at you, you drive a great car, you got a great job, you got the money and all that sort of stuff, then listen to the guy. Success leaves clues. Pay attention to that, right?
Most beta advice, like from other guys, when you're getting like this bad advice, it's usually a repeat, or this guy's basically parroting back what his blue pill teachers have told him, and he's giving you this advice because he feels like he needs to reaffirm that shit for himself. So when a guy says, "Oh, you need to treat a girl," when you hear what basically amounts to female advice coming out of a guy, you can tell that guy is, first of all, he's blue pill, and then second of all, you can tell that he's saying that because he feels it's his duty to police your thoughts. He feels because a lot of times when I hear guys giving blue pill advice, it's usually because I say something that is, I put out some sort of red pill idea, right? On, just casually or whatever. And then whenever I do something like that, and I'm not doing it in a red pill circle, guys will come out of the woodwork to white knight for women. And there's no women in the actual conversation. Yeah, okay. It's just me and like 3 or 4 other guys, right? Or it's a mostly male audience of some sorts. You will be surprised how many men will come out and say, no, that's not always true. Not all women are like that. And you'll get all of this, same NPC kind of bullshit. Oh, you must have been hurt. And it's all this kind of same stuff that you would expect to hear from a woman. Men give you that advice because they're trying to affirm that ideology or that idea for themselves, because you just put out something for them that has contradicted and conflicted with their programming. So if I say women are hypergamous, and here's how it works, they go, no, man, men are hypergamous, men are hypogamous, that kind of shit. Okay. Oh, they're going to come out and try to find some way to counter what you just said, because with their programming, with what they've always been taught is the way that you should respond to that. Because all these guys, and you'll be surprised, like even guys who don't necessarily go through the college academia side of things, but they will give you relationship advice based on what other people have told them from their women's studies classes. Okay, you have to do this, you have to do that. You don't want to you want to play equal. You want to be egalitarian. You don't want to, you want to be a supportive guy. All of this kind of shit. When you get that from a blue pill guy, it's that guy trying to affirm it for himself, because you just said something that conflicts with his ego investments. And his ego investments are, if I don't do this, I'm not going to get laid. It's just like what Jonathan was saying. You will keep getting what you have gotten if you keep doing what you have done. And that's what these guys are doing. And they're wondering why they're not getting laid, but they feel like they better tell everybody this so that we're all playing by the same rule set, and nobody is. And they don't want to come to the terms with the fact that they're playing by one set of books and other people and women are playing by another set of books. But keep saying that, but keep throwing that out there. Keep policing guys. Keep repeating toxic masculinity. Keep repeating all of this stuff, because that's what they've been taught by the village, by the feminine imperative to do. Because they have been taught that if they do that, if they identify more with the feminine, if they become male feminists and they give advice based on that male feminism, then they're going to get pussy. That's what they think. That's not what really happens, but that's what they think. So keep that in mind. When somebody gives you advice, like a blue pill advice, understand that they're doing that because they are ego invested in the idea that if they don't do that, they're not going to get laid.
All right.
Yeah. And it does take a little bit of practice to get it down right. But when you start to spot it, like one of the things that we do in my private men's community is we share a lot of this information privately between us guys. And it's like copy paste. This happened. What is your feedback on this? Is this good advice or is this crap advice? It's not easy to do, but when you get good at it, you're really good at it. I just want to acknowledge this super chat real quick from Troubleman313. He says the worst advice about women you will receive will come from women in your own family, even your own mother. I just want to share a real quick story because I had this guy once that was getting coached, and he was talking about how his grandmother told him, and he was basically taking care of her. He was the caregiver to his grandmother in her autumn years. She wasn't able to take care of herself in a way that you'd expect, but she told him explicitly, don't get a girlfriend, don't marry a woman. They're just animals without tails. And I told him, do you think that that might have been selfish advice because she has nobody else to take care of her right now and she wants to monopolize all of your time? You got to think about the source. When somebody dispenses advice, always consider the source.
Yeah, it's interesting. It actually dovetails right into what Richard's point was. Men are irrational in this regard. We don't take financial advice from broke people. We don't take fitness advice from fat people. So why are we taking relationship advice from men who don't get pussy? Like it's just common sense. Well, you know, this is the same thing with girls, right? They take dating advice from sluts, right? And girls never put two and two together. Well, my best friend Stacy, she's a matchmaker extraordinaire. She gives me great dating advice, but Stacy's a slut, and so are you. So the reason why women take dating advice from other women, from other sluts, is because that's the easy dating advice to take. That's the dating advice that feels good on your tongue. It's got a lot of fat and sugar in it. It feels and it tastes good. The dating advice, the real dating advice, tastes more like broccoli, right? It's harsh. It doesn't really taste that good.
It's not dating advice. It's rationalization device.
There it is. That's exactly what it is. And before we get to the next caller, I tell this story all the time. I actually told this at the 21 convention. My mom gave me terrible dating advice. And I remember 3 or 4 years ago, I'm on the phone with my mom and I'm telling her about all these, my exploits in Vegas and whatnot. And she says to me, she's like, well, Donovan, like, why are you using these women for sex? You used to be such a sweet boy, blah, 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 blah. Side note, my mom left us and me, my brothers and my sisters with our father so she could chase after a crackhead in Detroit, right? So she kept bugging me about why I'm using these women for sex. I told her, and I didn't want to tell her, but I finally had to tell her. I said, listen, when I stopped treating women like my father treated you and started treating them like Brandon treated you, my conquest with women drastically improved. And she shut the hell up because she knew I was right. That's how that goes.
Damn you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Hey, just to clarify a couple of things here. A lot of guys are saying, well, why even bother talking about this? Why bother saying, just simply don't go looking to women for advice in the dating market. The deer doesn't teach the wolf how to hunt it better, right? Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then if you get anything out of this particular episode, don't even bother with women's dating advice. However, I think that there is value in analyzing why it is bad. Why do women think that the way they do? Why shouldn't you go and ask women for advice? Why shouldn't you? Because a lot of guys, what gets me is, and maybe this from the MRA or the MGTOW crowd, is just, it's like they think that they can't believe that guys would actually go do this. They think that it's so self-evident that, that men shouldn't go looking for advice from women about women. Well, first of all, they think so because they think it's just simply not worth it. But a lot of guys think, that should be self-evident. Why would you go do that in the first place? Why would you even bother? But you know what? There is a whole world of, 80% of blue pill beta guys are out there doing exactly that. In fact, there's guys that are giving female advice to other guys right now. So you need to be able to pick that out, and you need to be able to, we're trying to raise awareness, like on G.I. Joe, they say, now you know, and knowing's half the battle. Well, what's the other half of the battle? Violence. That's what the other half is.
There you go. I used to watch G.I. Joe, and my brothers and I say, knowing is half the battle.
Go, Joe.
Yeah, right.
Next caller.
914-205-5356. I guess we have someone who has blocked their number. You're on live with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Bring it.
Is this me?
This is you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the number's actually not blocked. It's I'm calling over VoIP. So,
okay. So we can't track your location.
Actually, before I even get into my question, I just want to say for the last question, there's nothing worse than when you go to the gym and you see a personal trainer and they're fatter than the person.
Oh my God, dude!
Yeah, that happens a lot too, doesn't it?
All the time. It's
I see
unbelievable.
that all the time, bro. I see that all the time.
It's like what? Anyway, I don't want to get off track. Go ahead, man. Yeah, it makes no sense, dude.
No, but I've seen that so many times. I'm just like, wow, man, like that's crazy. Like the client should be training the trainer. But anyway, I don't want to get off on that. So my actual question is, this is like a philosophy I've had for a long time, and I really want to get like you guys' opinion on it. So one of the things that I've always noticed is like women are like very sexually attracted to like the men that validate them in the eyes of other women. And this is something that I've noticed like over a long period of time. And I want to know like,
pre-selection.
I've had a lot of these concepts that I've seen over time with experience. And like, since I found you guys, like you guys have kind of validated a lot of the things that I've noticed. But I used to be a competitive breakdancer. I called in a couple weeks ago.
Oh shit!
But
you were a
I
B-boy?
tried out for a TV show, a very popular TV show for breakdancing, pop locking, stuff like that. But I tried out for a very popular TV show about 10 years ago, and I was never like the type of guy like in high school, college, whatever, where women were always drawn to me. Right? They never even knew I did that. I was a pretty average guy. One of the things that was found funny was I was on the show for a grand total of 5 minutes. And like I had women coming out of the woodwork, literally like girls that I'd never talked to in high school. Like, I mean, I had girls that were calling me up and they're like, oh, we should hang out. We haven't seen each other in so long. And I'm just like, bitch, you don't know me. Like we never even hung out. You never said a word to me in high school. It's like, why do you want to hang out now? Like now I understand like they really just wanted to get the dick, right? But another thing I realized is like if you go on social media, right? Like, and you draw.
I'm just going to interrupt for a sec because I want to keep this thing moving along. Is there a question? Like we get what you're saying, but is there a question coming?
Yeah, so that was the question, but I just want to just make one more quick analogy, just something I noticed on social media, just to get your opinion. If you go on like Instagram, Facebook, whatever, right? Do you ever notice that like the women who are constantly posting pictures of their boyfriends, it's always like the guy who's on the football team, the guy who was in a TV show, the guy who has like he's the big guy that's got big muscles, the guy
who's going to show off the unemployed guy.
Yeah, we get it. I had to let him go. Yeah, listen, he makes a very good point. Again, that's the concept of pre-selection. Hey, I saw you on TV. I want to suck your dick. That's simple, Simon. And just like you said, girls are never going to say, hey, look at me and my beta boyfriend. If she does have a boyfriend she's proud of, if she really has that alpha dude,
well, it's
all over social media.
Women want the guy that other men want to be and other women want to fuck. Okay. It is very simple association. Women want to be associated with a man of higher sexual market value than themselves. And think, because what does that do? That's a reflection on their own ego. It's a reflection on their own sexual market value, or at least they think it is.
Okay, very good. Let's go back to the phone lines. Guys, try to keep it as brief as you can. I don't want to have to hang up on you, but I will if I want to. Area code 984. You're on live with the Redman Group. Go ahead.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing good.
All right, so here's my question. I'm gonna try to keep it short. My parents were divorced when I was like 10 years old, so I was raised by my mom, and she was the one basically because my dad never gave me any advice on dating or anything. And so my mom was the one who actually gave me the advice, growing up, and it didn't really work out for me. And it led me to where I am now, which is I'm 23 years old and I'm divorced. Actually, I'm not divorced. I'm separated.
Okay, what's your question? Question.
Yeah, my question is, I've been divorced, or I have not been with my wife for a year, and I guess this is my monk mode, even though I didn't know this was my monk mode. And my question is, should I continue dissecting the red pill because I'm new to the community, or is it like, is a year already too much for me to be monk mode, and should I
Why are you not doing something? You can learn and do at the same time. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, if you do go into monk mode, listen, I recommend monk mode, especially when you first find the red pill, because you really have to get yourself together. And I think a lot of guys who try to do when they first discover the red pill, these are guys that end up becoming purple pill or end up going MGTOW. Oh my God, this is too hard. Take a few months, get yourself together, get yourself off the grid, then you can do some on-the-job training. But again, on-the-job training does have its utilities. What are your thoughts, Richard?
What?
Listen, he said the B.
I'm stuck on why the hell you'd get married at 23. But anyway, like I would kind of go back in a time machine in your head and say, why the hell did I get married at 23 and start there? Because you got like whatever beliefs led you to the choice to get married at 23 are what need to get updated. And you know, it's like Ryan said, like I can drive a car and drink a coffee at the same time. I can drive a car and make a video in it at the same time, if you guys have watched my channel. So you can do many things at the same time. It's not that difficult. But I think the biggest question is, why the hell did you create the train wreck that you're in at 23? I mean, it's a good thing that it happened earlier on in your life, but for crying out loud, why are guys getting married at 23? Like, smarten the hell up.
Because there are underlying things or underlying beliefs, underlying conditions that he had that led him to make those decisions.
And that's what you have to update.
That's what has to be. Yeah. I mean, remember, I mean, I have dealt, and people think I'm joking when I say this. I have dealt with kids as old as 9 and 10 years old, where these boys are just crying upset because they don't have a girlfriend. Yeah. Because they want, and you will, I gotta dig up the video, but there's this video where they went and they asked kids, boys, males from age like 5 all the way up to like 60 or 70 years old. And they asked them, what does it mean to be a man? Right. Or what should you do? And if you ask a kid who's like 5 years old, he'll tell you, yeah, it's good fun to be a boy. I'll go out and do this. And they have that attitude right up until they get to be about like 7, 8 years old. And then you see the change. And that's when they're starting to get this, ingrained in their head, this women's studies thing. Well, boys are kind of stinky and we need to be a little more attuned to literally using these words. We need to be a little bit more attuned to the way that girls are. We need to lift them up and support them. And by the time they get to 13, this kid is like full on, I'm raised by strong women, that kind of shit. And like seriously repeating the same kind of tropes and the same kind of boilerplate that you would expect from women's studies and from the futurist female and all that other shit. And then they get into 16 and then they get into their 20s. And it's like this and it's scary. It's this progression of these guys. You could see just them expressing their beliefs about masculinity and about being a man themselves. Most of them end up gender loathing themselves. And then trying to, be the supportive kind of guy. So by the time they get to 23 years old, I'm sure this guy probably thought, I'm doing the right thing. I'm sure he thought he was doing the right thing.
Yep. I just want to say real quick that, the guy calling in, look, guys, there's no such thing as 1 year monk mode. Okay. You cannot just bullshit and rationalize to yourself that you're in monk mode just because you're not getting pussy. All right. You need to be studying red pill content and getting out into the field and taking this advice and taking action on it. Your life is never going to change unless you take action. If you ever want change in your life, you have to take action. 1 year monk mode, in my opinion, it's complete bullshit, and it's you protecting your ego. Like, oh no, I'm in monk mode. I'm not getting pussy. I read the red pill blogs every day, but no, you're full of shit. If you're not getting pussy on the level that you're content with, and you're not content with the sexual part of your life, and you understand what's going on sexually in sexual marketplace, then you're not complete in regards to your knowledge and your journey and your path with the red pill.
John, you're bringing Christmas joy to my heart. I swear to God.
Well, a lot of guys use monk mode as a crutch, right? A lot of guys think, okay, I'm going to go into monk mode until I'm completely perfect for women. Then I'm going to hit the dating market. No, that's not how it works, because you're always going to find a reason to stay in monk mode, just like Jonathan said, to protect your ego. That's how that works. Eventually, you are going to have to act. Like I said, take a few months off. If you're new to the red pill, take a few months off, get your mind right. But listen, you have to get back. You have to get back out there, because becoming the man you want to be, you have to have a low level of malcontentment. You can never be satisfied with who and what you are. That's just part of being a man. Let's go back to the phone lines. Area code 401. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
So my question is, well, just very short background. My job gives me a lot of time for reading, so I read a lot. Amazon, you know, we all know about the feminist imperative. So Amazon, what they're trying to do right now is to send me to re-education camp. My question is, are there any resources where a guy can find masculine-oriented, like a masculine-oriented reading list? Because
yeah, it's called Rational Male.
The book on Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah, I've read all your books, Rollo. They were great.
Oh. Yeah, just go old. The older you go, the less of a filter it tends to have. Is my opinion.
I'll give you some quick ones. You know, I really got to make a post with a Rational Male reading list of some sorts. I hate to do that because then it's like, oh well, Rollo's all about Robert Greene, or Rollo's all, you know, because as soon as you start doing that, yeah, exactly. I would suggest reading 48 Laws of Power. Especially if you think you need to go monk mode. If anybody's listening to this, and you go, I'm going to go monk mode. Read Mastery while you're going monk mode. Read that book, and you'll by the time you're done, you'll be out of monk mode, and you'll be out there, and you'll be kicking ass. So read Mastery. That's a really good one. The new one that he's got out right now, which is The Laws of Human Nature, I'm really digging into right now. There's a few things I'm a little skeptical about, but a lot of it is I can see why this is sort of his quote unquote master work here. I don't think it's going to be quite as good as 48 Laws of Power, because that's what he's saying, but it's still very, very good. So Laws of Human Nature. I also would say, if you want to learn more about like the Evo Psych, the nuts and bolts scientific side of things, you need to read. There's a book called Hormonal by Marty Haselton, and if you can get past her trying to get feminist street cred every other chapter, there's a lot of good information in that. There is The Red Queen by Matt Ridley. I would suggest that. There is Richard Dawkins' The Selfish Gene, I think is pretty good. There's and this is for
Seduction is really good too.
Art of Seduction is really good. There's a few things I kind of caught.
Anything by Robert Greene is good.
Anything by Robert Greene is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I would also say the last one I would say is God, now you made me lose my train of thought.
All right, we'll hop back in a second, but I was going to say all of Jack Donovan's books
yes
are fucking top shelf.
Listen, here are another
Kevin O'Leary is a real fucking man, and whether you like it or not, Donald Trump's books are fucking great for masculinity.
Gene Simmons stuff is good too.
Gene Simmons is great too, yeah.
Gene Simmons is a fucking thug.
Listen, Richard just held up a Donald Trump book. That is more risky in terms of getting us banned than Devin's ass.
You are correct. You are correct.
Here's my book list, and you guys can go to the replay, or we can put it in the links. And I'm going to do this real quick. The Manipulated Man by Esther Villar.
That's a good book, yeah.
Book of Pook. Number 3, The Misandry Ball by The Futurist. Number 4, The Solomon 2 Blog by Rollo's good friend Dalrock. Number 5, The Predatory Female by the Reverend Lawrence Shannon. The Rational Male by Red Man Group's own Rollo Tomasi. And The Way of Man by Jack Donovan.
Practical Female Psychology, James Franco in the group. That's a good one too. I'd say save that for your advanced readings though.
Heard of that. All right.
I would say my top 3 are definitely The Art of Seduction is really, really, really good. That is deep psychological seduction. Then Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal. And then the last one is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, which is kind of like a misnomer, but it just shows you how a little bit adds up to something massive, and it's a great book.
Okay, very good. And one last one to add to the pile is I would recommend Twilight.
I thought I had it. I thought I had it up in my library. I think it's in my bedroom right now. There's a really great book and this is for people who are religious. Okay. You really should read this book called Finding Darwin's God. And I forget the guy's first name, but his last name is Miller. So look that guy up. That one will really help you sort of separate this bullshit between like, oh, religion and science or evolution and this and that. Read that book and then get back to me.
Good. Listen, that was a very good question that yielded a lot of very good answers. So
yes.
right,
How do you get a job where you get paid to read books, though? Like, does this guy work for Amazon?
I don't know.
He's probably on a midnight watch.
Sounds like a
There's
pretty
a lot of
sweet deal
downtime.
anyway.
You could be, yeah.
Re-education camp because they caught him looking at somebody's ass on a screen.
Oh yeah, okay, got it.
That's what that was. All right, let's go to area code 865. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey guys, greetings from the Great Smoky Mountains. Love all of you. Thank you for your service. I'm 42 years old. I am divorced. Been divorced for 4 years. Been killing it, of course, the past 4 years. Where I take breaks. I don't go into what y'all call monk mode, but I certainly take little breaks here and there. You just got to give it a rest every now and again, if you know what I mean. Especially at 42. I want to say this about what's out there in modern life dating. So I discovered Corey Wayne a long time ago, which led me to you all eventually. And I want to just say this about women out there on these apps and that sort of thing. There are plenty of women that are married, that are miserable in their marriages, and they just are looking for a little side action. And I was a guy who discovered one of those women. She approached me and unfortunately caught feelings for her. And we had a 3-year-long affair, which, it was, I'm not anything I'm proud of. It's not necessarily a confession.
The catching feelings part or the married girl part?
Dude, oh my God.
Question?
Double dip there. Here's the question. So I broke it off with her because I became her emotional tampon. I just was tired of hearing about her lousy husband, and went no contact for about 8 months. And then, of course, she gets to me. She sends me a text message and that sort of thing. And, of course, I miss that pussy. So I'm, just kind of texting her back and forth. I tell her to give me a call. She hasn't called me. And I guess the question is more geared toward the modern life dating guy. What would you do? What would your advice be regarding the situation? The feelings part are kind of have dwindled, but I still want that puss. So any advice you've got would be great, and I'll take it off air. Thanks, guys.
Well, just look, here's the bottom line, dude. If you are pining after vagina to the point that you're calling into this show, it shows me A, you haven't have enough experience, and B, you're not spinning enough plates. You don't have enough girls. I have a guy here that I'm coaching in Tokyo, and he was like frantically trying to call me, and I already knew what was going on. And it just shows me you just don't have enough experience. Like, it's not trying to attack your character or whatever, but you just need more experience. Consider this as getting some of your stripes out there on the battlefield, and know that this is like a feeling that you want to eventually get rid of. Like, you definitely don't want to be chasing after married women, because you don't want to wake up with a gun in your face one day with some crazy beta male.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's like married women are kind of like a fat chick. Like, you can do it once, but that's it. Like let go of it when you're done with it, just after you've had the experience, man. Like, don't waste your time.
Dude, all these guys think they're so cool having sex with married women. Like, wait until one of these
do is be better than a husband anyway.
Yeah. Last thing you want is some crazy pissed off, husband or ex-husband showing up at your house with a gun or some shit.
Yeah, because they will. They will.
I don't know if you guys have addressed this yet, but it sounds to me like the caller has one-itis.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have enough experience. He doesn't have enough hosts.
I don't have enough. We had a 3-year-long affair. I don't have feelings anymore, but I still want that puss, dude. There's other pussy out there. I just want to touch on something real quick. I want to get Rollo's feedback on this, because somebody put in the comments, Rollo, do you consider Corey Wayne blue pill? I actually listened to his book about 2 years ago, and I recorded a review on it, and I never uploaded it because I decided that I was only going to upload book reviews on books that I liked. It's not that I didn't like it, but I found that it wasn't a 3% man sort of category thing. It was like, it would get you to maybe 30% at best. The red pill gets you to 3%. So that's where I thought that it kind of like ended short. Like, I'm glad that it leads people to the red pill, and I'm glad that he recommends Rollo's books, but I want to hear Rollo's take on that too.
Honestly, I don't know enough about Corey Wayne to give you an educated guess on this. I guess I'm going to have to check him out a little bit more. I'm glad
who the hell he is.
Well, I'm sorry. I simply just don't know who he is.
Got it.
So just look, I've been reading this material for a while. Corey Wayne, I don't know, man. There's something a little sketch about him, because back in the day, there was a book written by a guy called Doc Love called The Dating Dictionary, and it was A to Z. And Corey Wayne copied the entire thing, the whole The
Doc,
whole
Doc Love, I do know.
So yeah, Doc Love used to write for some men's website. I think it was like askmen.com or something like that. And Doc Love wrote this interest level scale in his book, The Dating Dictionary. And that is the backbone of Corey Wayne's entire system. So I think Corey Wayne is more of a marketer, because when I look at Corey Wayne, he kind of reminds me of like a Disney character. I don't feel threatened. Like if I look at Rich or any of these guys on the panel, like I kind of feel like, you know, it was a little like this guy might fuck me up. when I look at like Corey Wayne, I'm like, oh, this guy looks like he's made of estrogen.
Well, he spent a long time in the book talking about his single mommy relationships and why single mommies are okay. So, like right there and then, it's like, fuck off, man.
Then you're done. Well, you know, people hit me up about some guys like that, like David Dita, like the way of the superior man. I'll tell you, I've read some of that stuff, and really, it sort of feels like it's woo-woo magical thinking. It's this he wants to mix in a little bit of new age to, you know, he kind of wants to be like this kind of pseudo masculine hippie almost, you know, and the people will throw guys at me like what do you think like of David Dita is another one, or David D'Angelo, or some of these other guys that are like, you know, guys from, I don't know, Corey Wayne to me sounds like some guy from the past, you know. I'm not really sure if he's even relevant. Is he still relevant today?
Yeah, he's not relevant. Let's leave him in the past and take the next caller.
Go back to the phone line. That's actually a pretty good hack. If you're not afraid of your dating coach, you've got the wrong dating coach. Area code 8. Listen, if you think you can kick your dating coach's ass, then he's probably not.
Dude, that's pretty fucking spot on advice right there. Because girls get turned on by a guy that they're terrified by.
Go. Area code 862. You're on the live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey guys.
Hey, what's up?
My question is, I have a new girlfriend going on vacation. Are there any tips for vetting for a longer term relationship on vacation? Are there any like
Just keep your eyes open. It'll be obvious, man. Just don't bullshit.
Yeah, watch your behavior. I mean, women can act for a while, but if you're spending 7 weeks straight at an all-inclusive resort with a chick, watch what she does and just make mental notes of red flags, because if they come up, you need to be attentive to them, my friend.
And isolation is the biggest red flag. If she sneaks off on her own for a couple hours, no sign of where she went, nothing on there.
Well, who the fuck would allow that?
Well, you can't. That's just it. You can't stop it. Just be aware when it's there. You're like, all right, I see where things are.
Okay. Well, I would say just see if she is attentive to you. If she's like asking, "Are you hungry?" Is she buying you stuff for the souvenir shop? Is she caring and attentive to you? In my opinion, if a girl is caring and attentive to me, it lets me know that her heart is not completely black and like she's somewhat of a keeper.
See, I disagree even then, because, for example, the 2017 convention, I came there directly from Santorini. My brother bought a thought of his that he was dating. I think it was their third date. He just had the money to spend and wanted to bring her along. Big tits, nice face, everything. They were doting on each other the entire trip. As soon as they got home, she was off on another guy a week later. Like, he didn't care because he could just get more women, but that's just, there's no guarantees. You just have to be aware. But there's no cheat sheet.
Yeah, like a couple of extra points. I mean, if she's spending her time, because I was just kind of thinking as Ryan was talking on my last trip, if she's spending her time taking pictures of food, posting it on Instagram, taking pictures of herself, posting it on social, and there's no mention of you, or there's nothing about you during that time, and it's all about her collecting a new series of, look at me, here I am on Instagram, follow me, then that's a pretty bad sign. If she's an attention whore, then that's always a bad sign. So that's one of the first things that you should look for sure.
Here's one thing that a lot of guys tend to not understand. It takes a long time to vet a woman for potential long-term relationship. Okay.
Yeah. Sean Smith says 2 years roughly.
Dude, well, he's got more patience than I do. And herein lies the
That's true.
Herein lies the challenge, guys, is that every time you sleep with a woman, these dudes fuck a girl. Automatically you're thinking long-term relationship. And your actions and your words convey this. No. She is a slut. This is not a court of law. A woman is not innocent till proven guilty in the court of the red pill. She is a slut until proven otherwise. That's how this goes. That's how this has to go. So you're going to have to understand there's no magical trick. There's no magical test. Well, how do I vet a girl for a long-term relationship? There's all sorts of little tips and tricks and potions that let you know if she's wife material in 5 minutes or less. Nah, player, It's going to take some time, and it's going to take some patience. Too many dudes are out here in a rush to be in a relationship. You guys are serial fucking monogamists. Dude, go out there, fuck 5 different women at the same time. The ones that you can stand to be around without getting a fucking headache, the ones who don't give you a headache when your dick is not in her, those are the ones that you might want to keep around for a little while. Other than that, it's just going to take time. There's no secret trick. There's no door test. There's no appetizer test. It takes consistency, because any woman can fake the funk. Women out here are experts in hide my notch countology. Women out here are experts at covering up their slutty tracks. They can only keep it up for so long. Eventually, their true colors are going to show. When and if they do, that's when you eliminate her. You don't proactively tell her, okay, I'm going to vet you for a long-term relationship. No, just watch her and fuck other women. That's the answer. Be patient. It takes time.
Let's do one more call before we wrap up. We're coming up on 2 hours now.
All right, area code 586. You are the final caller on the Red Band group. Go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I've been doing some solo traveling by myself, weekend trips to different states across the U.S. And I've been wondering what you guys think is, at least in your opinion, the most successful area you've had, or at least what city you've been in the United States where you've had the most success with women.
Orlando, Florida.
I would say it's just you got to have the most success up here, because where you are is not really that important. But as long as you have your game figured out up here, then you can get pussy anywhere on the fucking planet.
Right.
Yeah, John's right. I mean, if anything, Vegas is a great place. I mean, Vegas is the place where women go to, what stays in Vegas, or what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, sort of thing.
Listen, if you want to listen,
you can't go wrong there.
If you're a red pill, if you just found the red pill and you don't have any ties, you don't have any kids, you're not married or anything like that, if you want a speed course and how to pick up women, Vegas is the place to go. Because just like Rich said, the slogan is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And the great part about Las Vegas is that the turnaround is constant. You're never going to see the same girl twice. New sluts are landing at McCarran Airport every 10 minutes, right? That's 24 new opportunities every 10 minutes. So yeah, Vegas is probably the best place to go. But I will say this: a lot of guys love to go overseas because they want to get pussy, feminine women. Newsflash: if you can't get pussy in America, you can't get pussy anywhere. That's just how it goes. So if you expect to go to Tokyo, Japan, or Ukraine, or Brazil, where everybody is hot and horny and feminine, they live for cooking and cleaning for their men. No. If you can't get pussy in America, then you can't get pussy elsewhere. You gotta go
to Vegas, go to Cancun, go to Ibiza, go to Mykonos. Like, there's all kinds of places you can go all around the world. I mean, don't limit yourself to the States. I mean, you're gonna live in a bubble if you just stay in the continental, North American region. Like, kind of move around a bit, right?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that the 2 top places you guys mentioned are the number 1 and the number 2 places for conventions and for like meeting. Those are the 2 central hubs, Orlando and
Las Vegas,
where everybody flies in.
Las Vegas is the biggest tourist attraction in the world. More people fly in and out of Las Vegas than any other city in the world. Period.
Really?
Yes.
I spent a long time in my late 20s and early 30s going to Vegas like at least once a month for long weekends. I've seen a lot of shit over there. Like shit you would not even believe, like stuff that I didn't even see in Ibiza. So like, if you want, like, just go to Vegas. Like, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, we've already covered it.
Is the spot. Thanks for the call, area code 586. All right, I guess that does it for the show, man.
All right, so let's just do some closing comments and wrap up. I want to thank all the panelists for contributing their time. Again, we've got Rollo Tomasi of the Rational Male blog, Ryan Stone of ryanstone.com, Jonathan from Modern Life Dating, and Donovan Sharp from the Sharp Reality. It's donovansharp.com, and yours truly, Entrepreneurs in Cars. The YouTube channel is the best place to find me. Any closing comments on today's shows, guys?
Just follow me on Instagram, and I'm coming out with a body language course eventually because of all the feedback I've been getting nonstop from my show on Donovan's.
Cool. Ryan, you working anything this week?
Yeah, it's mostly just stick with me, watch the content. I've been getting a lot of good feedback on what the next video is going to be on here. I'll throw out some new recipes and some more red pill knowledge in an easily digestible format when I can. If you need one-on-one coaching, I also have my coaching service, which is ryanstone.com/store. I've set it up. So I've taken the Married Red Pill 12-year male action plan, stolen from Athol K, now that it's the Mindful Action Plan. And I've developed a system that we've kind of worked to a pretty good standard right now. About 20,000 guys have done all the A/B testing, and at this point, short of spoon feeding it to you and lifting the damn weights myself, there's not much more I can do to help. So.
And Rollo, you're about to say something there, bud?
I was just gonna say I've got my own channel going right now. I'm doing a series with Pat Campbell, so we kind of like pick up on some of the stuff that we talk about on his show that we didn't have time for. But for the most part, I'm just trying to do some sort of like remedial kind of stuff. So if you're new to the red pill, and we got a few callers who apparently are, if you're new to the red pill, if you're new to my work and you have questions, particularly about tenets of it that are in the first book or the second book, feel free to join us in the chat. I don't have open phone lines on it yet, but maybe at some point I will. But I'm basically talking about like I'm trying to clear the air so people don't have misconceptions about some of the stuff that I'm talking about. Because remember, my book came out like 5 years ago, and this is kind of stuff I've been writing about for almost 18 years now. So check me out on my channel. You can just it's Rollo Tomasi. You just look for Rollo Tomasi or The Rational Male on YouTube, and you'll find me. And just tomorrow, I think we're going to end up doing something about the ways that men love versus the way that women love, and the differences between the two. So idealistic. Yeah.
That's a great topic. Yeah, so that's it. Support us on Patreon for Redman Group, guys. By the way, I've linked it in. Let me just quickly do it one more time before we wrap up. I've linked it a few times. It helps us create this content and run the show. And we'll be doing some private work for you guys on private Q&As once a month as an extra perk for supporting us. So the link's there if you want to, drop a couple bucks to Redman Group. It's a good way to help us keep putting out this sort of content. Thanks for checking out today's show. See you guys later. Peace.
Yep.